Ricmotech GT Challenge, broadcasted Mondays live on Apex Racing TV. Visit ExtremeMotorsports99.com for series and schedule details. Broadcast coverage next.
I just did that entirely. Well, sorry about that, folks. So we had a bit of technical difficulties on the side of audio, but we are here. Let's try that one more time. Last time out at Mosport, it was Aeronam and Ian Gagon Renault who took the win in their respective classes. This time we head to the ever-challenging VIR, which plays host to the 6th round of the Ricmotech GT Challenge, presented by Proforma Elite Texas Graphics. Coverage tonight will be on Apex Racing TV. Tyler Maxson in the comments booth and on production, alongside Brad Klein for the 75-minute race. Brad, we head to the incredibly challenging VIR circuit, which plays host to the 6th round of the GT Challenge season.
Yeah, hi Tyler, hi everyone at home. Thanks for tuning in, and yeah, looking forward to this race. Should be a good one. I really love this VIR circuit. I wouldn't say that I'm particularly quick around here when I do drive there, but it's very enjoyable to drive, and the drivers are in for a bit of a challenge today. Winds aren't too big, but it looks like there's a crosswind going straight across the back straight, which could make things interesting there, and also a little difficult breaking into turn 1 from the looks of it too.
It certainly will. And the drivers just now finishing up their qualifying sessions as they are just about to get that concluded up here. We got about another 8 minutes until the start of this race, but we just get ready to go here. Kevin Ford brings you the track guide this week.
Welcome, everyone, to Virginia International Raceway. Great to have you with us as we provide you your track guide. And today we come to you from Alton, Virginia in the U.S., right along that North Carolina border. This track was constructed in 1957 by 4 sports car enthusiasts who sought out this 1,200-acre property of beautiful rolling hills to build this incredible sports car track. The first event was held here in August of 1957 and must have been quite a spectacle to see as road racing was becoming so popular at the time here in the U.S. And the first winner here at VIR was Ed Hugas in his 1956 Alfa Romeo. This track has 130 feet of elevation changes and is certainly a technical one for drivers to master. Let's go ahead and begin our track guide as we roll up the front straightaway. Get through the gears, we notice our pit entry to the right, our flag stand here to our right as well as we cross the stripe and head down this very fast entry into turn 1. We're going to get on those brakes about the 3 marker there, get all the way down into 2nd gear. Very tight entry on radius here as it opens up. Coming out of turn 2, we'll head down into turn 3 here. Very fast entry, and then it tightens up a little bit here for the second part. Come out of here, look for that tight left-hander of what's known as the left hook. Turn 4, and then back to the right into 5, and then up into 5A. This takes us into what's known as the snake. Very difficult section here to get that throttle just right. Come up into this short chute under the bridge and to head to one of my favorite portions of the track, the uphill S's. Pretty much flat out through this section. Want to just glide right over those curbs. A nice entry down into South Bend here. This is a tough section. Right over the crest, stay far to the right, back to the left. We get down through the gears, and into this very infamous Oak Tree corner. Down into first gear, did a good rotation. Want to get some good speed coming up onto this big long backstretch. This is where all the overtaking takes place. That's right, a lot of draft here on this uphill straightaway, and it's a very long one at that. We'll be reaching speeds of upwards of 160 plus miles an hour as we come up into what's known as the roller coaster. Back to the left, back to the right, very tight section, back on throttle, down into the dip to the left, back out to the right to track out for the entrance into what's known as Hog Pen. Back down to the right, through turn 17, up through the gears, and this will bring us right back out onto that front straightaway as we head to that stripe once again. Well, there you go. There's your track guide here in Alton, Virginia, VIR Raceway. We appreciate you being with us.
Well, thanks, Kevin, for the track guide here today. You can see how challenging this VIR circuit is. It's going to pose a really big challenge for the drivers here today when it comes to racing this circuit for 75 minutes. It's easy to make mistakes, especially going through the fast uphill S's. The driver's just finishing up qualifying. Let's ride on board here really quick with Aeronom and see how he negotiates the S's section.
Yeah, there's not much time to rest on this circuit. I mean, the back straight is, probably the only chance you really get to relax a little bit. And you see he's hooking it nicely around the oak tree there. So this is really the only section where you get to have a relax a little bit, but quite often you'll be watching in the mirrors to see what's happening with someone behind trying to draft, or and then getting the right approach into the roller coaster section here is really critical.
Yeah, and a fun little fact about this circuit, the oak tree, I think famously now, is actually not there because somebody hit the oak tree and it had to be chopped down because it was in disrepair pretty much. So something that's kind of unfortunate for VIR, the famous oak tree corner. The name still lives on, but there is no oak tree anymore, which kind of makes the circuit actually feel empty right there. It's kind of weird to see it not there in the real world anymore. But this is obviously kind of an older scan of VIR, so things have certainly changed on the circuit since this was scanned a few years back. But it's still an awesome circuit to race at. It doesn't get the credibility, though, I don't think, that this circuit deserves. A lot of times participation is quite low here. I don't think a lot of drivers own the circuit because they just don't feel like it's used enough or it's not a great track, but it certainly is, and it certainly can pose up an amazing challenge for someone looking for a pretty difficult and very rewarding track to drive at.
Yeah, I think the first time I did some laps around here on iRacing was actually in the Lotus 49, which was probably the worst car I could possibly have tried to learn this circuit in. It's a real handful around here. But yeah, since then I've run this track in several cars, and yeah, I'm definitely not a master of it yet, but I really enjoy driving it. There's just so many places that you could make an error. So yeah, when you do get a clean lap here, it feels really rewarding because there's just so many opportunities to make errors here.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite tracks from the real world. It's definitely a real challenge, and it's just a really fun track in general. I mean, you are going really, really quick here, too. Going up through the S's section, I think even an NMX5 are going nearly like 120 topping out at the top of the S's, so it's a very quick and fun track here to drive, but the drivers are going to have to deal with this for 75 minutes. It's a long race here tonight, and the drivers, you've got to be careful because as the tires start to wear off, the top of the S is going to become really, really difficult to manage because you're going to have the rear end of that car gets very loose up there whenever you're going up there quickly and whenever you've got tire wear to deal with, and a lot of it at the end of a 75-minute race, especially if you choose not to take tires, then you're going to have a real handful on your hands.
Yeah, that south bend, the left-hand kink, just before you head down to the southern end of the circuit there. That's really, really challenging once you get some tyre wear on there, and the drivers really have to pay attention to balance the car as they head into that one before they plunge downhill on the run down to the Oak Tree corner. So qualifying's just wrapped up, and we can run through the grid. So we've got Aeronam on pole, Mike Dam in second, followed by William Laster and Robert Hartley on the second row, Caden Bin and Angel Ledesma on the third row, Brandon Wilson, David Payton make up the fourth row, Miguel Elcredo and Elvis Rankin on the fifth row to round out the top 10, followed by Travis Schwenke and Andrew Carron on the sixth row, Chris Thorman and Arthur Chan, followed by Diolio and Jeff Jacobs, George Fike, Brian Reeves, Brian Carter and Rafael Sosa round out the top 20. Russ Roddick, Michael Key, and then we've got I think then that rounds out the GTLM cars, I believe. Now we've got Edgar Seconcelli there as well, sorry. Then we're into the GTD cars, and no, sorry, there is one more GTLM there. That's Raymond F. Bader Jr. Ian Gagnon-Renner has pole in a GTD, followed by Jim List, Tyler Gulamante, Brandon Whitworth, Eric Violet, Tyler Shiflett, Jack Wells, Chad Parker, Mike Taylor, Derek Holland, Robert Briss, and I think that rounds out our field. So 36 starters. No, we've got another two there, Michael Hilliard and Brennan Meisler. So it doesn't look like Brennan set a time, unfortunately, in quali, which it is easy to get those off tracks here, so he may have invalidated those laps.
Yeah, and sorry about that. Not cycling through the grid there. I was clicking the wrong button back here in production, so definitely a bit of an error on my end here today, but we're just waiting on the pace car to roll off. There it goes. Aeronam will lead the field down to the green for your GTLM class, and it will be Ian Gagnon-Renault who will lead them down. Those were your two winners from last time out at Mosport. How will they fare here today? From the qualifying session, looks as if they're going to have a pretty good race on their hands.
Yeah, times were quite close there in quali, and we saw a great battle out last time in sort of the midfield in GTLM, so we'll see what happens this time around. A couple of drivers missing from this round, unfortunately, but still a strong field with close to 40 cars out there.
Yeah, we have a very strong field here today. 37 drivers, sorry, will take to the green flag. Actually, I'm sorry, Raymond Bader and Edgar Sancinelli not out there on the circuit right now. They're not currently in, so it doesn't look as if Raymond Bader or Edgar Sancinelli will take the grid, but even then, that's 35 runners who will take to the green flag here today, and that's quite a good list for the series. I'm really, really liking what's going on here, and let's see how the drivers fare after 75 minutes of action. Will we see any first turn dive bombs? I don't expect it, but it certainly is possible.
Yeah, the last round out at Motorsports Park, we did see a little bit of contact. I had a bit of a look through the post-race notes, and there were no extra penalties post-race, so race control did a good job of dealing with all those during that race. Wasn't quite sure if they had caught all of those incidents during the race, but there was no additional penalties to catch anyone up on there. So the point standings are as we expected. We can run through that in a bit more detail during the race with championship implications. Drivers coming down through the S's here now.
So the drivers wind themselves through the S's here on what is a very probably the most challenging section on the entire racetrack. I think that most drivers can agree with me on that one. It is fast, it's technical, really, if you think about it, and one small error and you're going to end up in a tire wall. And it's just as simple as that. But the drivers now heading on to the back straight. This is a very, very long back straight here at VIR. It is pretty much stretches for a good 75% of the track, I would say. Lengthwise, it goes about that much. So it's very long. Top speed is going to be of the essence here. That Mercedes AMG really has that for your GT D class and your GTLM. The Ferrari certainly have the top speed advantage, but they don't quite have the handling that the Porsches do, going through some of these tighter sections, like you can see through here through the roller coaster section. But anyway, we get on now through the final corner. The drivers getting ready to go here as they head down the front straightaway. It will be Aeronom and Mike Dam on the front row in GTLM. Ian Gagon Renault and Jim List will lead them down in GTD. But as they get ready to go here, the field is set. That field is now in the hands of race control and pole sitter Aeronom. As Mike Dam has a little bit of connection issues, but green flag is in the air.
Oh, looks like that's caused some issues off the start. That connection issue there, unfortunately. A few drivers running wide. So Aeronom,
a lot of drivers having issues there. A lot of contact was made early on because of that, and that's caused a lot of issues for a lot of these through the field. Several drivers making contact before the race has even begun.
Hopefully the GTD gets away to a cleaner start. Quite aggressive there straight away. Cars getting 3 wide. It's reasonably well behaved so far. They're headed in down through the horseshoe, try and get single file. Still a bit of 2 wide action through here.
Still 2 wide here with the DTD Esports teammates, and it is Eric Violet who will clear his teammate, Brandon Whitworth, and they all still file through. But let's jump back here to the lead in GTLM, and David Payton has gone off, and he has lost a lot of time here. But 2 drivers who've really lost a lot off the start, Mike Dam, David Payton included in that one. We just saw him obviously down and off and into the grass. But really your biggest loser there, Mike Dam goes from outside of row number 1, drops all the way down to what is 21st in the running order right now. He's really had a bad start.
Yeah, Payton's down in 22nd as well. It's 14 positions he's dropped down with that excursion into the infield there. So not the start that those guys were hoping for. We see
right
here.
on board here with David Payton. Let's see what happened to him. Ooh, he gets tagged from behind there. Couldn't quite tell who that was.
It's one of the Porsches there.
It's number 54 of Elvis Rankin. So I guarantee you Race Control will have a look at that one and see what caused that. I think Elvis just got a little bit too deep on the brakes there, did young Elvis Rankin, and went into the back of David Payton, caused him to lose a lot of time there right off the start. We'll have to see how Race Control chooses.
A moment there for Laster coming on to the, well, it's not really a straight, but the front stretch there, and yeah, he just caught the grass on the exit. He just about lost the car, so that was a bit of a scare there for, sorry, it wasn't Laster, it was Jim List, sorry. It's P2 in the GTD class.
And you just seen there at the bottom of your screen, sorry to interrupt you, but Elvis Rankin has received a drive-through penalty for the incident there that he just caused with David Payton. So Elvis Rankin really going to lose some time here. That's going to cost him a lot right off the start, but he can hopefully get his way back to the front. So that is a very unfortunate incident that ended up really taking 2 drivers out of contention for a nice top 5 finish here today.
Yeah, all this shake-up at the moment has given Rafael Sosa an opportunity. He's up 8 positions already, and he'll gain another one when Rankin serves his penalty, so he'll be up 9 positions from his starting position quite early on in the race. So he's done well to make his way cleanly through all that. And
that's a very good start there for Rafael Sosa. That's really going to help his day out there with having another driver have to come into the pit lane. And that inevitably is going to move him up into what will be 10th place. that will move him into 11th place now that Elvis Rankin has pit, and he's serving his drive-through penalty. So Elvis Rankin gonna drop to the rear of the field here on what is start of lap number 3, and we're only 4 minutes in, and we've already seen a lot of action.
Yeah, things are just starting to settle down a little bit, but there's a lot of drivers that have paired off in some pretty fierce battles. As we can see, Lasser and Bin here just trying to keep Aero and Arm in sight. We've seen how difficult it's been this season to try and stick with Aero, so that if these guys want a chance at a win, they've really got to not squabble between themselves here, just try and work together, stick with Aero for this first sector of the race to give themselves a chance if they can.
Yeah, I think if they're going to have a chance at a victory, like you said, Aeros has been just so dominant in this series. They're gonna even have a chance at it. They've got to stick with Aero in this first part of the race, and they've got to nail that strategy, because we know how strong Aero Nam is at getting that strategy just absolutely perfect. So if they want a chance at it, they've got to nail the strategy and also be able to stay probably within about a second of them, which right now they're at 1.3 seconds. But if they continue to battle like this, they're just going to cost themselves more time.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised Caden's trying to look for the move there. You can see that cost him about 3-4 tenths, just that last section of the lap there. So yeah, they need to settle down, otherwise Aero's just gonna walk away with it again, and then it will be down to traffic if he can manage the traffic. Oh, and we've got a bit of action in the midfield here. Andrew Curran is off, and I believe that might have been, was it Russ Ruddick that went off with him there?
That was the number 92 of Ryan Reeves. So Andrew Curran into the back of Ryan Reeves, and that's going to cost them both a ton of time here. Andrew Curran's actually dropped all the way back here behind Elvis Rankin, who did serve a drive-through penalty, so that really hurt them here on this opening few laps here. We're only 6 minutes in, and we've already seen a lot of contact in this race, and ooh, who is that? Arthur Chanslow.
Oh. And Brian Cartier's just had a moment. It looks like some of these BMW drivers are having a few issues on the brakes. We've seen a couple of them run wide and or get into the back of cars there. So that's kind of broken up that battle that was in the mid-pack from around Sosa in 11th. There was a train of about 6-7 cars really close together, so it's kind of broken that battle up a little bit. There's a couple of contacts there. But we're on board with Mike Dam, heading down through the roller coaster. And he's trying to set up a move on Chan, just to try and get some momentum onto the straight here, set up a move into turn 1.
Let's see here, William Laster and Caden Bien very, very close here. And from what I'm looking at, I think that Bien's actually a bit faster than Laster. I think that he's really, if he could get by him, I think that he has a chance at actually hanging on with Aero Nam here.
Yeah, that could be the case. That's probably why he might have just given it a couple of laps to see, you know, how that gap was going to play out, and as he's seen Aero sort of extend that gap, and I think the urgency to get past is increasing. Let's see how William can defend. One thing that's probably an advantage in this situation, being in the Porsche, it's really good off the corner, and so to run onto that back straight, if he gets a good exit, he can probably defend that position up to the roller coaster at least. That's one of the main overtaking opportunities on the track.
He certainly can, but if he's good enough on the brakes, he may be able just to send it down the inside. It's a very difficult section to send it down the inside and make it stick, but it is doable, as Mike Dam is now going to try it. He's going to try and take the inside here for the first part. It'll be the outside for the second. But Rafael Sosa does not put up a fight there and allows Mike Dam through. Mike Dam back up into 12th place as he dropped through car 72. That is going to be Andrew Curran, and he will get a drive-through penalty with a contact there that he made with the number 92 of Ryan Reeves. So he makes have to serve that here very shortly. But let's check in on your GTD runners here so far. It's still Ian Gagon Renault who leads by 1.8 seconds. Jim List in second. Then it's Tyler Galmente a further 3.5 seconds back, and he has got Brandon Whitworth all over the back of him in the number 42 D2D Esports Mercedes AMG. Then it's Tyler Shiflett a little bit further back from them. Chad Parker and Brandon Misler in a battle of their own. Then it's Jack Wells and Eric Violet close behind. And then it'll be Derek Holland who will round out the top 10 in that class. But this GTD class, while there isn't as many runners, the battles are still very fierce indeed.
Yes, the flow of this circuit does seem to break the field up like reasonably early in the race, but as we can see, both GTLM and GTD, it's like the drivers seem to like pair up on each other and have their own little battles. As we can see, Caden's just trying to make this move. Looks like he got a better exit out of the oak tree, carried that momentum up the backstretch into the roller coaster, made that move. That's good work. Probably just put the pressure on Laster, and Laster may have made a mistake on the exit of oak tree there, which set that move up for Caden.
Certainly could. Now here is the biggest question. How will Caden BN fare with closing the gap, or at least maintaining it to Aeronam? So far, he has pulled away from William Laster just in that one little section. He's already up to 3/10. He was almost up to half a second at one point. So right now, BN, having a very good run of things now that he's cleared of William Laster. So there you go. Laster, it seems, was holding him up a little bit. And right now, BN maybe have a chance at closing that gap just that little bit to Aeronam.
Down through the left hook there. Heading through the snake. And things are getting busy down here in the, not the tail end, but towards the tail end there. So we've got Chan, Cartier and Jacobs, and Sosa's the car in front there. He has lost a couple of positions in the last few laps, has Sosa, but he's seems to have gathered it back up. Oh, that's a moment for Cartier there, runs wide, and I think Jacobs kind of panicked a little bit and ran wide in avoidance.
Beautiful camera shots there as we head up the S's section. It's just such a beautiful track, VIR. It's so green and so luscious. We're pretty much in the Virginia forest. Now, we're pretty much right up on the North Carolina border. For those of you who don't know where VIR is, it sits directly on the North Carolina-Virginia border, and that gives you these beautiful forest trees and green, luscious grass that this circuit has. It's an awesome circuit to drive on the real world and in the sim, and it's an even more fun track to do 75 minutes of GT Challenge racing at. So I cannot wait to see how this race pans out. But the drivers really getting to battle here all the way through. Look at this, Brandon Wilson down the inside in the Deep Eddy racing car. So he moves himself up into 5th place. This is a pretty good outing here for Deep Eddy Racing. They've new to the series here, and this is their first race that they've entered here with Brandon Wilson, and so far doing very nice at a 5th place on this first outing.
Yeah, I've come across some of the Deep Eddy Cabaret drivers myself in a couple of series. Yeah, had some good battles with some of those guys, so good to see someone from that team out here in the Ricmotech series. Looks like he's doing a pretty solid job there in 5th, trying to make sure Hartley doesn't get a move on him here. The Ferrari actually looks quite stable.
It does look very stable. Robert Hartley's a very difficult person to defend from. He's a very accomplished driver in the sports car series as well as in the GT Challenge series. He's incredibly quick, and he's definitely no easy person to be holding off here. But right now, Brandon Wilson doing a great job at doing it here. He's probably got a couple of guys behind the scenes just working out those little details here for him during this first race. Out with the new team. We'll see how they fare. We'll keep an eye on them as this race goes on. This battle's still not over here between Brian Cartier and Jeff Jacobs. Jacobs in the number 38 streetsurvival.org car. Brian Garcia just behind him in the Phoenix Racing. 2 BMWs, so they're equally matched machines. It's just all about the driver and setup here for who's going to be able to get the move done.
So down through the hog pen onto the straight. So it's Cartier trying to get the momentum, see if he can make a move under braking here. You can see Jacobs just moves the car about half a car length, or half a car width to the inside there, just defending a little bit, but not moving the car right across.
He's doing some very subtle defending there is Jeff Jacobs. He's moving just that little bit, just to let him know, don't really send one down the inside because it'll block you for real. But not also scrubbing off his entry speed all that much, which is crucial for a turn like turn number 1. You don't want to be scrubbing off too much entry speed because it's all about the exit that you get out of there. It's not so much about the entry because it leads you onto a kind of momentum section, really. Even though you do hit the brakes again decently hard, it's just all momentum. The more you keep it flowing, the better it'll work for you.
There's a few little 3 and 4 car battles happening at the moment. The one we were just watching, and then that battle just a little bit further up from them with Sosa. Those guys are quite close together as well. And there's this battle that we're just watching there in GTD. So there's plenty going on out on track at the moment. That's Mike Dam. He's got Diolio. Looks like he's trying to get... Yeah, he's got some good momentum coming onto the straight there.
So right now, Mike Dam, if he had actually started from a starting position and didn't have his issues, I think he could actually be hanging on there with Aeronam and possibly even challenging him for a race victory here. It's unfortunate that Mike Dam had those issues so early on.
He's recovered to 9th so far. It's still 7 positions down on where he started, but yeah, he dropped a long way back with that unfortunate connection issue at the start of the race. The other guys, so Peyton's still down in 19th. After that excursion on the infield, Rankin was the driver who sent him there, and he's behind Peyton down in 20th. So yeah, those guys, after their troubles, have still got quite a bit of work to do. So Wilson's still doing a good job there, being able to hold off Hartley. We were talking earlier about Hartley's credentials. I mean, his I rating is well north of 9,000. So yeah, it's not someone that we'd like to have in your mirrors.
No, certainly not. And he's a guy that you want on your side, but also a guy that you don't want to race against, if that makes sense to many people. But he's definitely a very accomplished and very quick driver indeed. And I think that really translates over in both of the series that he races. I haven't seen anything that the guy's genuinely slow at. I think that the guy is good at, from what I've seen, he's pretty fast at whatever he gets in and drives. So he's a very versatile driver. He drives the Mustangs. He's driven right now actually drives in the sports car series, the Mazda MX-5, drives the Porsche RSR over here, and he does well at every single thing. He's the challenging. He will challenge for victories in whatever I've seen the guy drive. So it's a very accomplished driver. He's certainly not someone you want in your mirrors, like you were saying. He's a big target. Ooh, there's somebody off the track.
Is that
very
Sosa?
wide. It is Rafael Sosa.
So after a really promising start to the race, he's struck a couple of issues in the last 10 or 15 minutes. It's down into the horseshoe, just runs a little bit deep. So,
I had a feeling that one was contact, but I'm very glad to see that it wasn't, and that he just overshot the corner. It's definitely nothing that you want to happen, as you definitely don't want anyone to overshoot, but at least there wasn't any more contact, because I think that I think VIR gets a bad enough rap. We definitely don't want it in the anymore here to throw any more shade on VIR.
Just while we cut to that that replay, looks like Violet was able to make that move on Jack Wells in the GTD class. Those two were quite close together. Wells is still just half a second off Violet, but yeah, Violet was able to make that move. So he'll be keen to try and push his way forward. He's in 8th in class. He started there as well, but he must have just dropped back a little bit earlier in the race.
Go back here to this battle again. Brian Cartier, Arthur Chan. Chan on the outside, Cartier on the inside. I think it's going to be a pretty easy and straightforward move here for him, and he will move himself up into 13th place in class. So right now, Brian Cartier has 6 spots from his start. That's a pretty good start here. Right now tied for most positions gained with Jordy Fike. So the two Phoenix racing cars seem to get onto some pretty rapid starts here to this event. Looks as if they are going to have a pretty good race on their hands if they can continue this pace up and continue to move forward. But he's got, Brian Cartier wants to move another position. He's got a long way to do it.
Georgie Fike just heading down through the southern section of the track there around the oak tree. He's got Ledesma chasing him. And back to this battle, 4th position. El Crudo is now coming under a bit of pressure from Wilson. So Wilson has gone on attack rather than defense. He's been able to hold off Hartley. And he's got eyes on the back of that Delta racing car. See if he can set up a move down into turn 1 here. He's definitely showing the nose there, having a look, just trying to distract El Crudo. El Crudo does run a little bit wide there. He's gonna may have to go quite defensive into this section.
Certainly could have to there, but I don't think that Brandon Wilson would be close enough to do it. It's a very difficult section to make an overtake in, is this first sector here. Really, it's difficult anywhere on this track, but that first sector even much so, because it's such tight corners. If you don't just really throw the car to the inside and just hope that you don't make contact, then it's an incredibly challenging section to make the overtake. If you're going to make one, the best opportunities, I would say, at the end of the straightaway and down and towards turn number 1. And if you can get to the inside here in the oak tree corner, then it's definitely a great place to do it, but it's a very difficult place to get to the inside. But quickly, let's just check in on race leader here, Onam. He is absolutely walking away from this race. He's 3.7 seconds over the RSR Esports driver of Caden Bienz, the Team Bushfink. Number 78, doing very, very well here for himself. And he's looking to just, if he can keep this car in one piece and keep up this pace, he's looking to get another race victory here.
Yes, what we've come to expect from Aero is not disappointed us again, really. I mean, it would be great to see a battle for the lead, but at the same time, it's always great to see someone at the top of their game, and he's out here just reeling out those consistently quick laps again. So we'll see if he comes into any trouble when he hits traffic, but yeah, unless there's something like that happening, it looks like the other guys could be fighting for the bottom steps of the podium.
Certainly could be. But right now, William Laster is 1.2 seconds behind KBN. So the battle at the front of GTLM. Oh, yeah, a bunch of traffic. Good call there. Who is that? That's number 66.
Oh, such
this
an awkward.
is going to be very interesting.
Wow. Wow, Wilson was really committed. Wilson was super committed to stay on the back of El Crudo there. Good job from everyone to survive that little exchange there between those drivers. Not sure who it was in the Audi, but they managed to do a reasonable job of trying to stay out of the way there. It's a really awkward place to catch traffic.
certainly is a very, it's a difficult place to get lapped and also to be the car lapping, because you don't want to send it, you don't want to be down the inside a bit too late, and then into both of you having to get on the brakes to make it up the S's. But you also don't want to lose the opportunity to go by, because it can be very difficult to make the move at the top of the hills. So it's interesting, to say the least, if you're trying to lap somebody there, or if you're getting lapped there. You know, is it better just to move out of the way and let everyone through, or do you just try and hold off the position as much as possible? But
Wilson's having a
down
look.
the inside here of Acrudo. A little bit of contact there on the exit, but nothing's going to come of it. Brandon Wilson has to slot back in line behind the number 84, and he's really going on the attack here as Brandon Wilson.
Yeah, that was a good demonstration of that traction that the Porsche has on the corner exit there with the weight over the rear axle. The car just really squats down and gets great traction out of the corners. May not have quite the top speed of the Ferrari, but at this track there's not as many opportunities for the Ferrari to really get wound up. So it's yeah, it looks like very even battle between those cars at this track. Just different strengths in different areas.
Yeah, it certainly is. It looks like Kane Bien here is having a bit of issues, as he's lost quite a bit of time here to William Lassner. It's down to 0.7 of a second, so the gap is certainly coming down here at the front of your GT11 field. Back to what you were saying, though, about the Porsche versus the Ferrari. It really is a very good battle these cars have here. It's so close. I really think that the BOP at this track is almost more in the favor of the Porsche, because Hartley locks up and he's going to lose some time. But back to what I was saying, though, I think that the BOP here is almost a little bit in favor of the Porsche, being that the Porsche comes off the corner so well, and there's so many areas where you need to get off the corner well. Just an example, going down into turn number 1, out of turn number 3, through that first little whole sector, really, you are getting that car off the corner a lot, whereas you're not really getting this Ferrari wound up all that much. So now, while the BOP may be in the favor of the Porsche, I think the Ferrari has a bit better tire wear than the Porsche. But it's certainly a nice battle to see.
Yeah, I think the Ferrari will be a little easier on the tyres, so not quite as much of a handful through the ESSA section towards the later part of the stint. So that's where the Porsche drivers may be more susceptible to errors heading up through there later on. So Ian Gagnon-Renault, he's once again doing a great job out the front of the GTD class, a lead of about 4.8 seconds at the moment, so similar gap at the front in both classes, with Nom and Gagnon-Renault both being quite dominant again, as he just sets fastest lap of the race there for that class. That was a 44.62 from Ian, and the best from Nom so far was a 42.1 out the front of the race. 42.0 actually for Ben. I think he has the quickest lap. So it's about 2.5 second spread between the classes here. So not a huge difference, given that it's quite a long lap.
Bien is actually a little bit faster here than the Team Bushfink driver Vero Nom. Last time around was nearly
having said that, Nom's just done the quickest lap of the race. Just as we've said that, he's just put in a 42.1, so almost 0.3 faster that last lap. So here with Jack Wells in the GTD class, currently P9 in class, and he's trying to close up on Violet, but yeah, Violet was able to make that move a little while ago, but the gap's been pretty steady since then. It's only around a second, so some really consistent laps from both of those guys. And you can see Holland just in the background. He's lurking there, not too far away. But it looks like we've got our race lead coming up behind them, about to hit some traffic, is it? Or was that Bin?
No, I do believe that that is your race leader of Aero Nam, who's coming up behind this battle here. It's another battle in your GTDs starting to form up. It is between the front few drivers here. This is the battle for 4th place on the racetrack. Tyler Shiflett closing in on Tyler Galmente, one of, I think, 3 Audi drivers in the field. The rest, it is a very very Mercedes-dominated GTD field. It's great to see, though, the guys out there in the cars that aren't chosen as much, because I do think that the Audi is a very good car, but it is not favored like the Mercedes is to a lot of these drivers in this field. But still, some good battles can be formed. I think that the BOP that they've got going on in the GTD field is just spectacular. The battling is so close in this field. Everyone is pretty much even on car speed. It's just all about the driver and how good you can drive it.
Yeah, the Mercedes tends to be the more popular option. It's probably just a bit more stable than the Audi, but the Audi can, at some circuits, definitely stretch its legs a bit more and have an advantage over the Mercedes. Just the 3 Audis here today. The rest of that class is Mercedes.
It's been an update here from one of the league organizers, a very involved driver in the league. So supposedly all the GTD Ferraris, sorry, moved to the Mercedes. So that's why we're seeing a very Mercedes-dominated field, which does make sense, because I was about to say that we're missing one of the GTD cars, which is the Ferrari. But yeah, so there is all the GTD Ferraris have moved over to the Mercedes, which does make sense. Considering the 2 cars, I believe, handle decently similar to each other. Correct me if I'm wrong, though, but I think that they are decently similar cars when it comes to that. At least the Audi is not similar to the Ferrari, as far as I'm aware.
So Wilson's dropped quite substantially away from El Crudo now. That's why we saw him with a lot of pressure there from behind. And it was actually Schwenke behind, so it looks like Hartley must have had another moment and dropped back as well. So that's a change of drivers behind. I didn't quite pick up on it at first because both those drivers from the same team. So it looks like we missed a moment, another moment for Hartley there. We did see him have a bit of a lock-up into the roller coaster section before and run a bit wide. But he must have had another moment since then. So Wilson is used to seeing the Excite Energy car in the mirror. It's just a different driver at the wheel this time. Oh.
So I'm taking a look here. Oh, Hartley. That's a big botch of time lost. It's really not what he needs there. So I am honestly very confused. Oh, here we go. Now I have something juicy. Let's see what happens here. Supposedly Robert Hartley has a crash. Let's see if this is what happens. So he is very close.
Oh, grass on the exit.
Bruno, ooh, and just loses it.
Oh, his teammate.
That was a bit close there for Travis Schwenke. I don't think he was quite expecting that one.
Okay, so at that point, Schwenke was actually in front of Wilson.
So yes, so Schwenke was in front of Wilson. Let's see what happened. So, probably Travis Schwenke had a crash.
Been a change of direction, a change of position after that, so he might have just lost his rhythm after that off-track moment. He just runs a bit deep down the southern section of the circuit around the oak tree. So yeah, both those Excite Energy cars having a little excitement there, which they probably didn't want.
Yeah, that was a very interesting few laps there for the Excite iRacing cars. That was very exciting, no pun intended. But right now, back to the battle here. between Wilson and Schwenke. Here we go, up through the hill. Probably my favorite camera shot of all time at this racetrack. Is that very, very fast shot. It just shows you how fast the drivers really are going there. They crest that hill at, I don't even know what kind of speeds, but I know it's a lot. So the driver's really getting challenged there. Wilson gets a bit loose on the exit. That's going to allow Schwenke to close up just a bit here, but I don't think he's going to have enough to make the move down into the start of the roller coaster section. He's just not close enough to match the top speed of that Ferrari. He's in the slipstream, and he's still losing a bit of time. So that just shows how strong the slipstream, or how strong the Ferrari is in a straight line.
Yeah, I've seen the strength of the Ferrari in another series that I'm racing in, and it's quite formidable on tracks like Monza. So yeah, no surprise to see it have perhaps a bit of an advantage on that backstretch here. So on board with Tyler Shiflett, currently P5 in GTD class, and he's been looking at the back of the Audi of Guillemette for a reasonable portion of this race now. Still sticking within that second, but so far unable to get into the zone to be able to make a move. So perhaps these battles are sometimes the most rewarding for a driver. They may not be the most exciting battles to watch from the outside sometimes when you sort of have that static gap, but when you're trading lap times with another driver like that, and you know it's with like hundredths between you each lap, that's some of the most rewarding driving you can have. I really enjoy those battles.
They're very fun battles to look at, and the reason I pulled up the dashboard there for Tyler Shiflett was to just see how fast those cars really are going at the top of the S's. And in GTD, they're hitting about 155 miles an hour at the top of the S's. So definitely, they called it the fast S's for a reason. Let's just say that. Because they are very, very quick indeed. But back to this battle, though. Wilson and Schwenke. We should start seeing pit stops, though. Start up here in a few minutes. I wonder if either of these drivers will go ahead and dive onto the pit lane, or if we'll see race leader Aaron Nam dive in. He doesn't dive in this time, but it's interesting to see when everyone will start to make their pit stops, because GT11 will start about now, and then it'll close again around the 50 to 55 minute mark. So drivers really going to be possibly close on fuel, and it was actually Travis Schwenke who dives in this time. GTD runners as well will be coming in here soon.
So yeah, we can expect the lane to get quite busy over the next sort of 5-10 minutes. It just depends how long some of these guys have been able to stretch the fuel, or when they choose to do tyres, if they're going to. Sometimes we see drivers tend not to do tyres in this series, but this track is quite demanding on tyres, so we may see some taking tyres here.
Wouldn't be surprised if we see drivers taking left side tires, because you do put wear, quite a bit of wear on those left side tires through some of these different corners, these very fast, tighter corners, and really sometimes even the fast corners at the top of the S's. The left-hand side tires get a lot of wear in those, so be interesting to see whether we see drivers take two or they just opt for none to save that little bit of time in the pit stops. But look at this, Mike Dam and Travis Schwenke. Mike Dam, he had a very early pit stop indeed, and he's back out. And right up behind Travis Schwenke after he got out of his stop. So we'll see possibly if Schwenke took tires, and that's why he cost so much time, or if Mike Dam's just really been having a nice little comeback here.
Yeah, looking at the stationary time, it was 16 seconds for both of the drivers, so doesn't appear to be a difference in strategy between those guys. It looks like just a straight out battle, and Dam's just been able to get his head down after the issues at the start and gradually make his way forward, so that early stop might give him the opportunity to jump a couple of drivers. It's definitely, especially with Travis's issues that he had just before, that's enabled Mike to close that gap to him through that opening stint of the race.
Just
I
have
love
to
the sound
keep
of
an
those
eye.
things. These Porsches sound amazing.
Oh, they really do. I mean, if I had to give them a rating on sound, it would definitely be about a 10 out of a 10. These Porsches just sound awesome. But I do also like the BMW action. I know a lot of drivers don't like the sound of the BMW, but I actually personally like it. See here, how fast are they topping out in these GTLM cars? Actually not too different than the GTD cars. They're about the same. So interesting to see that the GTLM and GTDs don't actually have that bit of top end difference in top end speed. Really, all the GTLM time comes from the amount of downforce those cars create through the corners. You can see the front splitters on those cars, or really the front bumper with all the differences in that downforce creating add-ons those cars have really make them easier to get around corners, I would say. But the GTD cars could just be so rewarding whenever you do get a lap just absolutely perfect, and you have just, that can be such a rewarding car to drive.
So yeah, there's issues for Hartley. That's been quite costly. His stop was almost 20 seconds in the lane, so the stop was a little longer. He might have had a little bit of damage to repair after his off-track moments. And again, we see him having trouble getting the car stopped down at the oak tree. So looks like some of the Porsche drivers might have used up too much of the tyre early in the race, or he could just be having an issue trying to find a bias position that he's comfortable with. So yeah,
This is not the driver that we see usually at a Robert Hartley. He's usually a very front-running driver, but tonight, obviously having a bit of issues getting everything right in that Porsche. But let's look at this battle. Look at this. Tyler Shiflett and Tyler Galmente, the two Tylers, battling it out here for P3 on the circuit right now.
yeah, and we've got the race leader Aero Nam sitting in behind there. He's just having to be patient to make his way past these guys. He doesn't want to risk anything. The gap at the front has come down though since he's hit traffic. It's back down under 4 seconds. So he'll be aware of that. He won't want to lose too much time. Oh, that's very close.
I think Nam got a bit frustrated there. We usually don't see him be that aggressive with traffic. I think he got just a bit frustrated and just tried. He was like, look, I got to go because I'm losing time to the driver of KBN behind. And
he could see.
Right now he's getting held up again by GTD traffic. So this is really hurting Aero Nam.
Yeah, he could probably see being down the front stretch there a lot closer in his mirrors, and then yeah, to get that urgency to try and get past. This is committed. Just makes it into the Esser section there. And Galmente, big moment at the kink.
Oh, and he comes back into the path of KBN there. He's really not going to like that.
So yeah, that's that left kink, the southern bend, the tail end of the Esser section there. It's really easy to lose the rear of the car there once the tyres are past their best. So, and the Audi is reasonably well known to be a little bit more nervous in the rear than the Mercedes. So it's not too much of a surprise to see the Audi driver struggle there, but he looks like Galamente might have just lost his rhythm with Aeros coming through, but that gap at the front is coming down to 2.3 seconds now.
Jim Lisses missed his box. That's going to hurt him a lot.
Oh, no.
So he was starting to even close up there to a bit on your race leader. That inevitably cost him a decent amount of time there. Was really having to deal with more of the GTLM traffic and almost battling with the GTLM traffic. But it shouldn't have cost him too much time because it didn't look like he missed it by much. It was 16 seconds stationary time, and in comparison to that of the GTD runners, that's actually about comparable. Just about a second in the total pit stop time. So Not bad there. Not bad mistake from Jim List, but a mistake that will certainly still be there in the long run, but it shouldn't cost him a position or anything like that. He wasn't in any super tight battles there. Just kind of checking in all the way through the field here on many different drivers. Michael Arcredo getting caught here by Brandon Wilson again. So Wilson has caught him from nearly 4 seconds back.
Yeah, I think that's that traffic starting to come into play. Arcredo probably just hasn't been quite as aggressive as Noam to try and make his way through, but that's enabled Wilson to get right on the back of him here through the oak tree. Might be a little bit of a tow from the GTD car there that might save him. He pulls to the left, try and make that move. And see, it's not easy to get past though. That GTD car is still super fast. Wise there, wise move. He's moved to the side, let both drivers through. Wilson will be happy about that.
Oh, so that was another incident. What's happened there?
Ooh, that was very awkward all round there. So it looked like Schwenke might have just got into the back of Chan, is it? Oh, he
Yeah,
looks
he
like
just gets in
Chan.
the back of Chan.
Look, Chan must. Oh,
Ooh, and then who was that?
was that Sosa?
That was Andrew Karen.
Oh, wow.
And he loses out the most, actually. From that, ends up going for a spin, and then both drivers got going even before he did.
Race control probably having a busier afternoon than they would have liked. They're probably going to have a look at a couple of things there. Not much Karen could do. So you can see the incident between 87 and 16 is under review. It did look like Chan was perhaps braking a little earlier there, but I don't believe he had stopped. So the balance of his car, may have been a bit different. As the Porsche gets lighter on fuel, it can get a little bit more nervous, so he might have had to brake a little bit earlier than Travis was anticipating.
Certainly could be. As the battles start to heat up a little bit more all the way through the field, we will go non-stop action here on Apex Racing TV for round number 6 of the Ricmotech GT Challenge, presented by Proforma Elite Texas Graphics. We're going to go non-stop here, and we'll be back in just a few minutes after the messages from these following sponsors. So welcome back, and you just saw a spin there for Ryan Reeves. That cost him a lot of time, as well as the driver of the number 82 cost him a lot of time. And but luckily, no positions lost there, so not too much lost there, except for the driver of Ryan Reeves in the Alpine SimSport car. So he loses himself just a bit of time, and both drivers will have to go back by the number 5 of Tyler Galmente. But Ryan Reeves also loses the position to Rafael Sosa in the Delta Racing car. But other than that, no harm, no foul, really no contact. Both drivers doing a great job.
So we've had stops happening from the race leaders as well. Wilson's just coming out, about to come out. So yeah, that's all the top guys have stopped there, and we just saw a message of race control as we're coming back. Oh, that's a bit awkward. Wilson down the inside of our corridor. Just as we were coming back, there was a message from race control that incident between Arthur Chan and Travis Schwenke was deemed no further action. So they may have thought that Chan had braked a little bit earlier there, and nothing untoward from Schwenke, so he'll be relieved about that one. His day hasn't been fantastic without getting a penalty anyway, but he does sit in P9 at the moment, so it could have been worse.
Certainly could have been, but not a bad recovery though. Speaking of bad days, let's talk about a good day here. Not a bad recovery here at all from Mike Dam. He's gone from way down the order, almost down to 20th place, almost down to dead last. And he came all the way back through, and he's now sitting in 4th place, just ahead of Brandon Wilson in the Deep Eddy Racing car. The Cryptology Racing orange car of Mike Dam is really on the charge back forward. I don't think that he will be able to get to William Laster. He's just a bit far ahead for him, 10 seconds up the road. But the gap is coming down here pretty quickly, so maybe Mike Dam will surprise me and be able to get back up to William Laster.
Yeah, he certainly got some motivation in the mirror there from Wilson to keep marching forward as quickly as possible. So you never know, we might see that that gap come down. There's still quite a bit of time left. Oh, and they just make their way past Guilhermente, I think that is, in the Audi there. But yeah, great job from Dam to recover. Started in P2 and now in P4, so just 2 spots down from where he started, given a bit of a disaster with his connection at the start. Biggest mover at the moment would be Brian Cartier, and he's made up 9 positions throughout the race in the GTLM class, and he's working on the other BMW there of Diolio. So those 2 guys are the top BMWs in the race. Looks like BMW is perhaps struggling a little bit with the BOP here. We have seen a couple of those drivers up towards the front at other tracks.
I think that a lot of the BMW drivers, though, haven't had the best of things, because Andrew Caron for RSR Esports, usually a more runner. Jeff Jacobs towards the front a bit more. I think a lot of the BMW drivers just haven't had that great of a night. And we also don't see Kevin Ford out here tonight, so he has to step out here this evening. So I just think that that's the main reason that we're not seeing the drivers, the BMWs, up as far up. I think that your main competitors in the BMW haven't had a good night, as these 2 are going to go side by side towards the roller coaster section.
Yeah, Cartier set that up, got a great exit out of Oak Tree, and was able to get a little bit of the draft there. BMW does make a considerable hole in the air, so it generally provides a good draft for anyone following. But now Diolio will be trying to return serve. He has a look, just shows shows Cartier that he's not ready to give this up. Oh, Cartier with a little bit of a snap oversteer moment on the exit there. So definitely pushing on, attacking the curb there too, bouncing off on the curb there from NASCAR Bend. Again, hitting the curb on the left hook, so he's using all the track, really pushing now to try and get a gap to D'Olio before they get down that back stretch again.
Yeah, you can just see these two. Let's see how the battle commences between them. Arthur Chan as well, very close here with David Payton. Those two getting into battle, and then here we go. We got Andrew Karen in one of the BMWs coming through as well. This is the battle for 12th, 13th, and 14th.
So yeah, Chan having made his stop now, he's one of the later stoppers in the race. It's fed him out into this battle. He's had a pretty busy afternoon. He's usually had someone in the mirrors most of the race. So. Karen trying to recover from some troubles earlier in the race as well. He's down 2 positions on where he started, currently in 14th. And he's trying to get this move done. Has to back out of it heading into the roller coaster. Well, Chan did run a little deep there, but no way Karen can get through just here. Unless the driver in front makes a mistake, actually gets onto the grass, there's not really an overtaking opportunity there, but he's definitely got a good exit onto the front straight. And Chan going defensive to the inside. It's pretty smart. I think Karen would not have hesitated to throw it down the inside there if he left it open.
Very difficult to get that switchback move, and with the BMW struggling a bit with the BOP, it's not going to make that any easier whatsoever to get that move done. It's really going to just, Andrew Karen, if he wants to get these 2 positions, he's going to have to drive incredibly if he wants to be moving up here. And now, especially with how fast David Payton is, he just walked away from these 2 whenever they started to get into a little bit of a battle.
Yeah, Karen's also dealing with a little bit of damage on the front from that contact earlier in the race as well, so he may find it hard. But and we see a GTD driver really in a bit of a panic there as he saw the GTLM cars from behind. Maybe just a bit of a look in the mirror from Derek Holland there at the wrong time as he headed into the southern bend. So D'Olio still working away, trying to stick with Cartier. He's not letting him get away. So a bit further up, Wilson is still pretty close to Dam. The gap to Laster hasn't changed much though, so probably won't see him much any further up than 4th unless there's a mistake or incident with traffic ahead. And Karen's still Karen, they're still trying to work away at the back of Chan, but yeah, here's Dam. He's trying to make his way through some traffic there. It's a bit of an untidy exit from the GTD driver. Should make it a bit easy for him to gain heading down the backstretch here. Because Dan's been able to actually pull a bit of a gap to Wilson there. I'm not sure if Wilson had an issue with traffic around the southern end of the circuit there. He did lose about half a second in that sector.
Ooh, and Andrew Karen gets around Arthur Chan here as they head up toward the S section. And Arthur Chan's going to lose a lot of time there. So you can just see how much Chan was holding up Andrew Karen as Karen walks away. A 1.2 second gap just from the time they got to the top of the, just from the bottom of the SSRI to the top. And now it's all the way up to 1.3 seconds. So Andrew Karen really has some pace here. And if I am David Payton right now, I would be a little bit scared of how quickly Andrew Karen is back up to speed again.
Yeah, it looks like that was quite an aggressive move heading into the S's there, which forced Chan offline. And once you're offline heading through that S's section, there's no coming back. Like he did well to hold it on track, but you're losing time right through that section then because there's only one ideal line through there.
Yeah, it certainly is. It's certainly a difficult place to be making any sort of moves, much less a move this late in the race. Whenever you have, whenever you've got the tires worn out so much. I mean, you're an hour into this 1 hour and 15-minute race, so we just say that the timer clicks over to an hour, and we're now to 15 minutes left. And with that, let's actually check in here on race leader Aeronom. We haven't given him a whole lot of airtime today, but he's led every single lap of this race from the first one to now what we are on at the 1 hour mark. So he is a long shot right now away from the rest of the field. He's currently 5 seconds ahead of Caden Bien in the RSR Esports car. But Aeronom controlling this field just as he did 1 week ago at Mosport. And same with Ian Gagon Renault. He is now currently 13 seconds ahead of Brandon Whitworth and Jim List, who has about a 2-second lead over Whitworth does over his teammate List. But Gagon Renault absolutely leading this field out in the GT3s by a very, very long margin. It's going to be very difficult to close that in. He has the momentum here now from last week. Can he carry it through to this week for the final few rounds here of the GT Challenge?
Yeah, once again, great drives from these guys out in the lead of these classes. It's definitely just setting that benchmark for all the other guys to try and catch. But yeah, it's just each time they just seem to be able to get that gap early in the race and then manage the traffic through the tail end of the race. So both of them doing a great job. Cartier still working away at Diolio here. Just while we're looking at the other drivers there, I just had a glance at the championship standings. So that battle between Peyton and Karen, that's quite significant. They're only separated by a point. And with Caden Bin only a few points behind them in the standings up in P2, it's going to be pretty crucial who comes out on top in that battle.
Yeah, certainly could be. We'll actually take a look here as we have just a few minutes left in the race. There's not too many battles going on at this point. Let's see how the GTLM class standings were coming into this one. There we go. We're cycled over to GTLM. So it was Aeronom leading going into this race. Mike Dam was in second. William Lasser third, David Payton in fourth, Andrew Karen and Caden Bien. That'll be your top 6 in your GTLMs. Then let's jump over here and just quickly take a look at GTDs. And it is Ian Gagon Renault who is at 166 points, 11 points over Brandon Misler and Tyler Schiffler. But that gap will come up here today quite drastically. I think he will gain a few more crucial points on his championship rivals, will Gagon Renault and Aeronom, and will get them that little bit closer to the championship.
Yeah, Schifflet and Meisler are both on the same points there, 155. So as things stand at the moment, Schifflet looks to extend a little bit of a gap over Brennan in that battle for P2 in that series, in that class. So yeah, some really close battles in the championship as we're heading sort of towards the tail end of the season. So it's something we'll keep a closer eye on through the remaining rounds.
Not too many rounds left to go here in the GT Challenge, as these two are Caden Bien, sorry, will go by the number 92 and get lap Ryan Reeves there. But there's not too many rounds to go in the GT Challenge Series, just 2 after this one. We head to Sebring International Raceway for the 7th round of the Ricmotech GT Challenge for another 75 minutes of action. Then we cap off the season with 90 minutes of Road America, one of the most iconic tracks in all of America and really all over the world. And we'll head to Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin on the 16th of December to cap off that season. So it should be a great last few rounds here. And I just really cannot wait to see what that new season will entail.
There's still plenty of action to play out before that happens, though. So yeah, you can see here Cartier's looks like he's just been able to get that move done. Or defend that move from Diolio, sorry. Cartier obviously did make that move earlier. A little bit awkward with the traffic there from the GTD too, so Diolio trying to seize that opportunity to get that position back. This is a fight for P9. Cartier's up 10 positions, and Diolio's up 5. So both those guys have sort of kept themselves mainly out of trouble compared to some of the other drivers in the race. Just earlier when we were talking about the GTD guys as well, just remembered that Brennan Misler, he actually didn't set a time in quali, so he started right at the back, and he is up 13 positions overall in the race and up 7 in class. So that's even though he's gonna lose a couple of points to Tyler Schiffler from the looks of things at the moment, that's still a great recovery compared to how things could have played out for him in this race.
Yeah, they certainly could have been a whole lot worse there for Brandon Misler, but he did a nice job to salvage what he could out of this race and just kind of recover as many points as he possibly could and not lose too much time to the D2D Sports driver in the championship. So, yeah, as this race just winds down here, Karen is starting to close up here to David Payton. The gap's now down to 0.6 of a second, and it's kind of maintaining and has been over the last few laps. But Karen, slowly but surely, has been chipping away at it. But he hasn't made a whole lot of progress, so we'll just have to keep an eye on this to see if he is able to get to David Payton. But right now, it's looking as if this is going to be a very close battle if he can get there.
Yeah, Payton will be putting up a strong defense, as we just looked at before, just 1 point separating those guys in the championship, so plenty to play for there. Oh, Cartier. Oh, I thought he was going to run just a touch wide at the southern bend there. It's very dangerous getting close to the grass there.
It's certainly the most dangerous place on the racetrack to be getting close to it. You definitely want to be right up on the edge so you're not losing a whole lot of time, but you also don't want to go over that edge, because if you step over the edge, the car likes to, really, the track doesn't like it. It will, let's just say it will hurt you in many different ways if you try and push its boundaries that little bit too far, but you have to get right up on the edge of traction and of what the track will allow you to do to get the maximum lap time out of this place.
These guys are just heading into the other spot here. If you don't get the braking right in heading into that roller coaster section, you're heading down a very slippery slope out on the grass there and losing bulk time if you manage to keep it off the wall. So yeah, that's two of the most dangerous spots on the track as far as that goes. See, there's no big concrete runoff areas or anything around VIR. It's old school style track, which we like. If you do get on that grass, it will penalize you heavily.
It is absolutely wonderful to see what this old school tracks bring to the calendar, because while there is some of these newer tracks like Coda and others that don't really punish you all that much.
Sorry to interrupt. Travis Schwenke's just had some kind of issue. He's just disappeared from that GTLM battle up the top, and he's showing in the lane again, I think.
So I think that Trevor Schwenke's just had connection issues.
Yeah, that could be the case. Well, that's unfortunate because he was still up inside that top 10 there. Oh,
Oh, no.
that would explain it. Heading down through the snake. That's
So he already has damage. Ooh, it just hooks it over into the curbing and into the tire wall there. Also, Jim List has had some sort of an incident. He's down to P5. Let's see what happened to him.
We've got Sosa and Cartier showing in the lane too. So right towards the end of this race, things are kind of a bit crazy.
I'm not too sure what happened there with Jim List. So he runs a bit wide. Ooh, and then actually receives a bit of a tap there from his teammate. Yes, and then receives a bit of a tap and loses the position there.
That lets
Tyler
Galmente through.
Galmente.
Yeah, you won't be happy about that. I'm not sure if that was timing having issues or if that was the case. So Sosa was showing in the lane. Yeah, he is in the lane. So something's happened with Sosa, and there was another driver that dropped back during that exchange too. Cartier, I think it was. So there may have been potentially some contact or something. Oh,
Same spot.
Wow. So these drivers, they haven't changed tyres in this race, and it looks like it's starting to really bite some of these guys hard. Yeah, well, you don't often see issues into that snake section there. You know, there's little kinks there. You can almost just straight line it, but you do need to have a good exit onto that section. And it looks like some of the guys just pushing it a little bit too hard. So the order's getting shaken up a little bit. Not towards the front. We've still got Nom, Vin, Laster, and Dam, and Wilson as the top 5. But yeah, things are just getting shaken up a little bit there. And just looking back at Andrew Carron from David Payton. These guys still battling over this P10 position. So a bit of bragging rights to see who can get that top 10 finish.
I'm still kind of interested here to see what happened to Tyler Shiflett, how he lost the position. Obviously, we know how he lost the position to Tyler Galmente, but how he lost the position originally to Tyler Shiflett. So I'm just going through and trying to find that now because I'm kind of interested on that one because I'm really not too sure we lost it. So here we go.
A few of those. Oh, yep. So that's that southern bend.
Oh no! So Bliss just drove off wide.
So drivers in both classes having issues with tyres towards the end of this race from the looks of it. Yeah, really struggling. So we haven't caught what happened to Cartier. He's the only other driver that kind of got mixed up in all of that was happening there. So he's dropped back down to 12.
So
having
he says
run a
that
bit
he entered
higher.
the pit lane and then left 0.2 of a second later. It's possibly just connection issues, or we may be having a live timing glitch.
Yeah, I'm not sure. He definitely lost positions.
Very interested to see what happened to me because I'm really not seeing anything. As I say that, I find something. Let's see what happened here to Brian Cartier. Almost loses it, going down through there. And he will run wide, but doesn't lose much time. So what exactly happens to Brian Cartier?
So he was battling with Diolio, and Diolio's up in P8. So anyway,
That is
we're
Diolio just
getting
ahead of him here, so there's could possibly, or just behind him, actually. So this could maybe let us know what happened.
I think
Guess
we're
we'll just
just
keep on
approaching
watching.
the end of the race, though. So
And yes, you are correct. We're just now to the end of the race. Oh! What's happening to
Aeronom,
Aeronom? Aeronom's off and into the wall.
the same place, the snake. Oh, is this traffic?
Ooh, so he loses the car behind one of the GTD runners. Oh, comes back onto the track into the path of the number
And that's been
51
taken.
GTLM.
Caden Vin goes through, takes the lead. Wow, the closing stage of this race is gone crazy. And as we said before,
And then loses the car.
you still have to get through the traffic to get the race win. And unfortunately for Aeronom, he has not been able to do that.
And he's still in
On
the
this
tire
occasion.
barrier. He can't even believe it. Aeronom has lost the lead here in the dying stages. He has led every single lap of this race except for the one that counts. Kata Bien will come across the line to pick up the pieces and take the victory. William Laster will come home in second place. Mike Dam will come home in third, and it will be Ian Gagon-Renault if he can just finish this one out to take another back-to-back victory here in the GTD class. But wow, what a finish to the GT Challenge Series, round number 6 here from VIR. We know VIR produces some great racing, but that's just incredible.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack from the closing stages of this race. There was so much going on, we couldn't keep track of all of it. So yeah, a lot of drivers having issues with traffic, and it would appear with the condition of their tyres towards the end there. Caden Bean's not worried about the condition of his tyres now. He's celebrating down on the back stretch there. You can see the car of Aeronom still parked off the side of the track there. So yeah, that's definitely not the way he wanted to end his day. So
No,
Karen unable to make that move on Peyton. So Peyton not able to hold on to that P9, but with that issue for Nam, that does elevate Karen into the top 10.
But still, though, one thing I do want to go ahead and give some remembrance to here is Mike Dam's run. He had connection issues on the start, which saw him go all the way back to 20th, and now he's clawed his way back onto the podium. That is an incredible run there by Mike Dam. Let's see what happened here one more time with Aeronom. So he loses it actually on his own, locks up because of the GTLM traffic, or the GTD traffic. So just locks up the rears and ooh. Yeah. Okay, so just spins that one around.
The driver in the GTD car didn't probably realize that Aero was so close, I think, and he kind of went to close the door and then realized he was there, sort of opened it, and then it looked like Aero got caught out a little bit by what was happening, locked the rears. But the rejoin there, I think he was just panicking because Caden was so close behind with that traffic. I think he must have lost a bit of time in the traffic prior to that. The gap had come down a bit. And yeah, that rejoin, unfortunately for Aero, that could have been avoided.
Yeah, and then that causes him a lot of issues. So really, if he had just waited that little bit of time, he would have still finished. I think probably still could have held on to the lead.
If maybe not the lead, but
at least could have held on to a second place finish.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, their final results are up on your screen. Caden Bien takes the win here in round number 6. William Laster will come home in second. Mike Dam with an amazing recovery drive comes home in third. Brandon Wilson in fourth. Miguel Argredo in fifth. Chris Thorman in sixth. Lowski Diolio in seventh. Georgie Fike down in eighth. David Payton in ninth. Andrew Karen rounds out your top 10 with Brian Cartier at 11th. Arthur Chan, Aaron Nam, Jeff Jacobs, Russ Ruddick, and Ryan Reeves will round out your finishers here in your GTLM class. Ian Gagun Renault. He's won 2 for 2 now in the GTD class with Brandon Whitworth coming home in second. Tyler Galmente will round out your podium. Jim List will finish down in fourth. Tyler Shiflett for the Beth Motorsports will finish down in fifth. Brandon Misler, Eric Violet, Jack Wells, Chad Parker, Derek Holland, and Mike Taylor. That will round out your GTD finishers there that were 3 laps down. Then it's Michael Key, Travis Schwenke, Rafael Sosa, Robert Brist, Angel Leda Mesa, Robert Hartley, Elvis Rankin, Michael Hilliard, Edgar Santinelli, and Raymond Bader Jr. All those guys having issues here early on or somewhere through the race. And that is your finishers here. That is your entire results here tonight. So we have one driver in the interview room. We'll go ahead and get him in here now. Caden Bien, welcome.
Hey, guys.
Let's just say that was an interesting race for you. You had pace the entire race. You had a bit of issues getting by a driver earlier on in the race, but towards the end there, you had some amazing pace, and with Aeronom's issue, was able to come through and take the win.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, I was struggling during the practice, so I don't know what happened with the race session. Maybe temperatures changed for my liking, but I was able to get my pace up a bit. And yeah, I was battling with William for the portion of the beginning of the race, and finally I was able to find a way around. And by then, Arrow was pretty far ahead, so I wasn't worrying about him and more of the cars behind. But then I realized that he was getting held up by traffic, so I thought maybe something could happen. But for every car or two that he got held up behind, I got held up behind the same one. So, but I don't know what happened there at the end. I need to check it out on the replay. I almost got caught up in it myself, but that was pretty crazy.
Sorry guys, look like we've just had some Discord issues there. If you can hear me, Caden, are you there?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, okay, sorry about that, mate. It's like Discord server issues for a brief moment there.
Were you guys able to hear me?
I couldn't, unfortunately, so I'm not sure if the viewers were able to catch you there. The audio is coming from Tyler's in regard to that, but maybe you can just run through the race from your perspective again for us, sorry.
Yeah, I'll start from the beginning. During practice, I was pretty well off pace for my. Unfortunately, I was like running 15th and back lap times, but something happened in the race session and qualifying. I guess it was just maybe temperature change that changed to my liking, so I was able to up my pace a bit. And yeah, at the start, like you said, I was battling with William for a while, and finally See, I had this all down before. I was finally
That's
able
okay.
to go around him, and by then Arrow was about 4 or 5 seconds up. So I was just kind of worrying behind me and not in front. And then I realized that Arrow was getting stuck behind traffic quite a bit and losing some time. So I thought maybe I could make something happen, but unfortunately, for every car or two that he got held up behind, I was behind the same one for the same amount, if not longer. So unfortunately, nothing could have happened there. But at the end, I don't know what happened. Like I need to go take a look at that myself. I almost got caught up in it, but
The closing stages of this race were crazy. It wasn't just that incident. There was a lot going on. We're still trying to unpack what happened, to be honest. But yeah, you kind of closed that